Sigourney Weaver is back as Ellen Ripley, and so are the brutal and deadly aliens, and this time it's war. Directed by James Cameron, the first Alien sequel does something unique in that it scraps the whole haunted house in space horror movie approach of the first movie and becomes a science fiction war action movie, but with equal amounts of terror. Set 57 years after the first movie, and Ripley's escape shuttle has been picked up by the Weyland Company, but no one believes her claims about facing the evil alien creature. However, Ripley and a squad of Marines are sent to the moon where the first alien was encountered after contact was lost with a colony there. When Ripley and the Marines arrive, they must face an entire planet of evil xenomorph aliens, along with the evil Weyland Company, whom are more interested in using the aliens as weapons rather than destroying them, in this masterpiece action horror movie, which, in many people's opinions, not only does it live up to its predecessor, but surpasses it.
Get away from her, you bitch!
Stop your grinning and drop your linen as we explore 10 things that you didn't know about Aliens, the brave sequel which doesn't rehash the original but takes the Alien series into new and exciting territories. So let's check it out. Number 10, a sequel 7 years in the making. When Alien came out in 1979, it was a hit both financially and critically, and Brandywine Productions wanted to get straight to work on a sequel. However, the sequel didn't come out until 1986, a whole 7 years later. So, why the long wait? Well, there are several reasons to the sequel's lengthy delay. Firstly, Alan Ladd Jr., who greenlit the first Alien movie, who incidentally also greenlit Star Wars, had just left 20th Century Fox. And the new team taking over didn't have any interest in making an Alien sequel, fearing that it would be too expensive. That, and there was a lawsuit between the producers of Alien and 20th Century Fox for the distribution for the first Alien movie's profits, until an agreement was settled that Fox wouldn't give the producers any more profits from the first movie, but allowed them to make a sequel and make profits from that one. So finally, after disputes of finances and legal issues, the Alien sequel was in the works. Number 9. Arnold Schwarzenegger unknowingly helped to get Aliens made. As if Aliens production wasn't delayed enough, it hit another setback, that being James Cameron's original script. What with Cameron's Terminator script floating about, 20th Century Fox were impressed with it and approached Cameron to write a sequel to Alien. However, his original draft of the Alien script didn't impress 20th Century Fox, and to make matters even more complicated, at this time Cameron was about to start pre-production on the Terminator. So at this stage, working on the Alien script would have been out of the question. However, one Austrian muscle man and his own legal issues to the rescue. Yep, just as Arnold Schwarzenegger was about to get ready to play the memorable role of the T-800, he was contractually obliged to drop out and star in the Conan sequel, Conan the Destroyer, which pushed the Terminator's production back by 9 months, which thankfully gave Cameron more time to polish up on his Alien script, to which he gave the sequel parallels to the Vietnam War, making it feel more like a war movie in space. When he submitted the new script to Fox, they were happy with it, and with the Terminator being a hit, Cameron was a sure win for being Alien's writer and director, to which Gail Ann Hurd, who was a working partner of Cameron's and future wife of the director, who also produced the Terminator, came on board as Alien's producer, and the rest was history. Also, in the 9 months Cameron took to write Aliens, he also wrote the script for Rambo First Blood Part 2. Number 8. Original choice for Hicks. Aliens has a great lineup of co-stars who acted alongside Sigourney Weaver, who brought many great memorable characters to life for Aliens, such as Lance Henriksen, who played the android Bishop, Paul Reiser, who played the sinister Weyland executive Burke, Janet Goldstein, who played the tough no-nonsense Marine Vasquez, and the always lovable Bill Paxton as the comedic goofball Marine Hudson. And of course there was Michael Biehn, who played Hicks, who was the movie's secondary hero and possible love interest to Ripley. Biehn had previously played Kyle Reese in The Terminator, so it seemed natural that he should play a futuristic soldier again in another James Cameron movie. However, he wasn't originally cast in the role. That was actor James Remar, who is probably best known for his performance in The Warriors and 48 Hours. There are even photos of Remar on set as Hicks, and he was filmed in the scene where the Marines enter the alien hive. So why was he replaced? Well, there are several stories ranging from creative differences with James Cameron to legal issues involving illegal substances, and more interesting, a story in which his prop gun, which was only meant to be armed with blanks, went off, firing a hole in the adjacent movie set where the Little Shop of Horrors was being filmed. Who knows the exact reason, but one thing was for sure, Remar was out and Bean was in. So, if you watch Little Shop of Horrors closely and see a bullet hole anywhere in that film, you now know that it was Hicks from Aliens who was responsible. Number 7. Sigourney Weaver nearly wasn't in Aliens. It's impossible to imagine Aliens without the kick-ass performance of Sigourney Weaver reprising her role as Ellen Ripley. However, originally she had doubts over the project and was questioning her return in the iconic role, so she met up with Cameron to discuss the movie, and after meeting with Cameron she was much more enthusiastic and happy about the project. But then a payment dispute shortly followed, as 20th Century Fox didn't want to pay her $1 million for starring in the movie, as in the previous film she was only paid $30,000. Cameron was then asked to write Aliens without the Ripley character, but he insisted that he would not make Aliens without Weaver, claiming that the script that he had written was done so on the basis that it would be about her character, and also claimed that he wouldn't keep it a secret that she was the only actress considered for the role. So Fox knuckled down and signed Weaver on with a contract, and going by her performance in Aliens and what she brings to the movie, it was worth every cent. Number 6. Real military training. Due to Aliens' more militaristic approach, and the fact that it features many scenes of Marines in combat, the cast was actually trained by real-life Marines to undertake military training, in which the training took several weeks before shooting. Both Michael Biehn and Bill Paxton were also told to read the Starship Troopers book to get a feel of what it's like to be a space-age Marine, which, given how similar Aliens and Starship Troopers are, actually makes a lot of sense. One important thing the actors were told was to never point their guns at someone and to never walk around with their fingers on the trigger of their weapons. Yeah, they should have added "Don't shoot the set of Little Shop of Horrors" to that list. However, yeah, and I do say however a lot in this show, Sigourney Weaver, Paul Reiser and William Hope were meant to undergo military training but couldn't due to other responsibilities and commitments. By seeing Ripley in her more action-orientated scenes in the movie, you wouldn't think that she skipped the training. Number 5. A set was reused for Batman. Just like the first movie, despite being set in space and on alien planets, Aliens was actually filmed in the UK, namely Pinewood Studios in England. In fact, the set designer was Peter Lamont, who also designed the sets for the James Bond movies. So what with the movie being filmed in England, some English locations were used for filming, namely Acton Lane, which was a dormant power station located in London. The not so glamorous location was used as a set for the scene where the alien nest was found. And incidentally, the very same location would be used again in the 1989 Batman movie, which doubled for Gotham City's toxic waste plant, Axis Chemicals. Yeah, that place where Jack Nicholson becomes the Joker. Well, all I have to say is that the location set looked great in both movies. Number 4. Action figure lineup. If you think it took a long time for the Aliens movie to get made, it took a further 6 years for the action figures to be released, in which in 1992 kids at home could act out their own Aliens adventure. The alien creatures looked great and spot on, but the human characters looked a little bright and colourful, which is weird. I mean, after all, they're meant to be Marines. I just can't imagine that Ripley would have gone into battle wearing that red t-shirt. But I guess the colour was added to make the toys look more visually appealing for kids. Also, the toys came out the same year as the third Alien movie, Alien 3. But these were clearly toys for the previous movie, as the ad features clips from Aliens, as well as the lineup using the Queen Alien from Aliens and all the Marines also featured in the lineup. I don't know why, but I just find it weird that the lineup for Part 2 came out the same year as Part 3. I guess there wasn't as much potential for a figurine lineup for the third movie, as it mainly would have featured a bunch of boring looking bald guys wearing old grey clothes. Okay, apparently the toys were meant to kickstart an Alien cartoon series, but for some reason the series never took off. I'm guessing probably because the toy line didn't sell too well. Also, the advert for the toys was narrated by what is meant to be Hicks.
And I'm Hicks, armed with the latest high-tech heavy metal.
But Hicks dies at the very start of Alien 3. Yeah kids, go buy your Hicks action figure, but don't expect him to see in the movie that's currently out in the cinemas as he dies before the opening credits. Imagine that you're a kid in 1992 and you buy or are given a Hicks action figure and you're excited to go and see the new Alien movie which has just come out round about the same time as the toys, only to see that this character that you have just bought is just a miserable dead corpse in the new movie. Yeah, kids of 1992, you're better off with the Ripley action figure, as she actually survives the first few minutes of Alien 3. Number 3, Novelization. As with many blockbuster movies from the 80s, Aliens got a novelization which was written by science fiction writer Alan Dean Foster, who also wrote novelizations for both Star Wars and Star Trek, as well as Alien and Alien 3. And his novelization bears more of a close resemblance to the original James Cameron script, so naturally there are differences between book and movie, as the start of the book sees Ripley much more in a state of post-traumatic stress after her ordeal in the first movie, with her depressed and her apartment being an absolute mess. Unlike the movie where, although she is clearly affected, she is more tougher and defiant. Newt is not 12 as she was seen in the movie, but is actually 6 years old. And when the Marines arrive at the colonist station on the moon, there were actually more survivors. Oh, and the famous knife scene involving Bishop's cool party knife trick is also nowhere to be seen, or rather read, in the book. Number 2, The Fate of Newt. Apparently when it came time to casting aliens, the toughest role to cast was that of Newt, the young girl who Ripley becomes a sort of surrogate mother and protector to. Many young children whom had previously appeared in commercials auditioned for the role, but Carrie Henn was cast in the part. Henn had no previous acting experience, but it doesn't show as she is totally believable as a traumatized kid who has been through a great ordeal and has come face to face with unearthly horrors. Oh, and the boy playing her brother in the movie was her real life brother, Christopher. Henn even won a Saturn Award for Best Performing Young Actor for her role in Aliens. However, despite this, the young actress decided that she didn't want to pursue a career in acting after Aliens, so Aliens was her only on-screen performance, where in her adult life she became a teacher instead. Henn always seems to be happy to talk about her time and experiences on Aliens, and is featured in several documentaries and conventions, so at least she seems to have a special place in her heart for that time she was kidnapped by the Queen Alien. Yep, Newt became a teacher, where I'm sure her pupils never ask her about the time she was face to face with aliens. Number 1, Disputes on Set. While with the movie being shot in the UK, many of the Pinewood crew didn't like James Cameron. They thought he was too young and too inexperienced and that he didn't quite know what he was doing. So there was something of a resistance and prejudice towards the 31-year-old director. Cameron wanted to prove to the British crew that he was a capable director and arranged a private screening of The Terminator for the crew, which at that time had not been released yet, but that didn't work as hardly any of the crew attended. There was also complaints about the tight filming schedule and, well, Cameron and the Pinewood crew just weren't seeing eye to eye. However, things reached boiling point when the original assistant director was fired, as he was apparently trying to take charge as the movie's main director, even telling Cameron how to light certain scenes Cameron explicitly wanted to be dark to create a certain atmosphere. So Cameron let him go, and when he was fired, the rest of the Pinewood crew walked out. But thankfully producer Gail Ann Hurd managed to convince the crew to come back, which luckily they did. But it must also be said that the conflict may not have just been on the part of the workers at Pinewood Studio, as after all, James Cameron is kind of well known for his temper tantrums. But who knows? Either way, thankfully filming resumed, and the movie was finally completed. Yep, it seems that Aliens was a long, tough road to get finished. It was a movie that took ages to get into production, with many setbacks and financial and casting disputes along the way. But thankfully, despite all this, Aliens was made and would prove to be a horror science fiction masterpiece. When you look into Aliens, it's honestly a miracle that the movie got made in the first place. And whether you like James Cameron or not, one thing is for sure, thanks to his determination, we got Aliens. There is so much about Aliens that I haven't covered in this video, such as the outstanding creature effects by Stan Winston or the sensational score by James Horner. So if you're interested in the backstory of Aliens, then go out and discover it for yourself, as there are still lots to learn. It's both action-packed and frightening, which makes it stand out on its own despite the huge popularity of its predecessor, making it one of the most loved sequels of all time. Anyway, I'm Minty, and game over, man. Game over.
Game over!
See ya!